if you don't think these people won't stage terror attacks, that attorney general was the deputy attorney general when Oklahoma City happened and was in it to his eyeballs. He's a very dangerous person. That's a hardcore criminal. People are like, that's shocking to say. Hey, they ship guns into Mexico to blame it on the Second Amendment. Okay, let's finish up the clip as we go to break. We'll come back. Here it is.
Now, that's a question of because there have been inconsistent submissions to Congress. You yourself testified that you'd only heard about it a few weeks earlier, and then in November you said it probably was a few months. As late as October 7th, in response to the allegations that you lied on May 3rd, you wrote to Congress your statements on...
All right, we'll come back with more of these dangerous terrorists. And look, those aren't just words. These are terrorists caught. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back live, and I have just gone into absolute anger mode by what's happening. I mean, even behind the scenes, I am on the verge of exploding because our country has got a case of serious tyranny, and we have got to respond to it, and we've got to deal with it, because now the criminals are being exposed, they're butchering the country, and they're making their move. Now, I wanted to get Lindsey Williams back on. I'm going to give you the floor, Lindsey, here. We only got you for 30 minutes. We didn't have time to finish yesterday. I want you to recap the latest point in Iran, the other 5 points, how it ties in, that your former oil company executive insider info you were given. And then I want you to get into the religious part of how the elite are operating, because I know they've taken over the World Council of Churches, National Council of Churches. I know they're putting their propaganda in at every level. I know all of that is happening. And I know they've taken over many of the churches. And so that's part of their program. When you say devil messiah, that means their counterfeit church that the Rockefellers have set up and others. So I want to just, until we go out to the end of the hour here, I want to let you roll here. You don't need to thank me or any of that, normal pleasantries. Just get right into the 5 points, the Iran point, and then what they got into, what the elite believes is going to happen in 2012. Because I know who your source is. I know Dr. Monteith talked to him, and the other source, Ken Fromm, who's now died of cancer last year. And so I want to just hear from you what they have to say, because so much of what they've broken down has come true and unfolded. Lindsey Williams, thanks for being with us here on short notice since yesterday.
I feel so honored that years ago God would have allowed me to be asked to be the chaplain to the elite of the world for a 3-year period, and then to keep in touch with these people over these years so that I could come here today on the Alex Jones Show and save you major heartache. If you had listened, you did, those of you who did listen to Mr. Ken Fromm before he died, if it's written on a piece of paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. You didn't lose one single penny in the MF global collapse and bankruptcy here the other day because you listened to what he said. This is how the elite can save you. These men are old, 70s and 80s. They are talking as old men. You will not lose a single penny in the dollar collapse, and I think it will be next year. From what they're telling me, you will not lose one penny in the dollar collapse. If you were just merely follow the guidelines of the things we're trying to tell you that the elite are telling me, the devil's Messiah agenda, which I'm going to get into today, your family will not be corrupted. Your children will not suffer the onslaughts of this agenda in 2012. Because you have heard the truth right here on the Alex Jones Show, and you know what to do. Well, I'm going to try to do exactly what Alex just said. I'm going to try to give it as fast as I can. I'll begin, first of all, with Iran. I was contacted within the last week. This is only days ago. And my elitist friend let me know everything is going to happen with Iran. There is going to be a conflict with Iran, but it is not going to take place right now. Now, I know I'm sticking my neck out a long ways today. I have no choice. I must tell you what is being told to me so that you can prepare for what is going to take place. They want a conflict with Iran. Now, do you remember 3 years ago, I went to Mr. Fromm, and I said, is there going to be a conflict with Iran? He laughed over the phone and said, no, not for at least 2.5 years. Well, it happened exactly like he said. I'm telling you now, according to my elitist contacts, there is going to be a major conflict with Iran. It will probably take place well up into 2012. It is not going to happen this month, next month, or possibly the following month, even though we have our warships over there. Russia has their warships over there. Syria is a major issue. China has said, I will come to the rescue of Syria if NATO goes in. Iran has said that they will go to the rescue of Syria if we do anything over there. So that puts China, Russia, Iran, the United States of America on a collision course. I know it's right now so touchy. They showed a picture of our drone. They actually captured the drone that we sent over Iran and showed a picture of this thing that it is a stealth drone. Unbelievable. My son showed it to me on the internet last night. All of these things are being done to harass, intimidate, every way they can to get Iran upset because they do not want Israel to shoot the first shot. They do not want the United States of America to have the shot that was heard around the world. They want to harass and intimidate and anger Iran to the point that Iran will do the first, and then it came out as to why. You know, sometimes it's really not what the elite do as much as it is the reason why they do it. And the reason why are doing what they're doing in Iran. Why don't they do it to North Korea? Why don't they take on other nations who have the bomb? Why is it that they pick on Iran so much? Why is that the number one issue right now? The reason why is the thing that is so important. Let me read it again. It is, oh, people, please, you must shout this across this nation. I'm so glad that I have the privilege of being on one of the most prominent conservative radio talk show host program today, Alex Jones and Genesis Network, that is doing such a marvelous job, because I have the opportunity to let millions of people know today, folks, you must stop this president of ours. You positively must know what the agenda is, whereby he is connected with the elite, and what the elite have told me about Iran is connected with what he plans to do. He's in trouble right now. His ratings are down. The economy is in shambles. The unemployment lines are getting longer and longer. And I want to read to you. You've got to know this, and whenever you see it happen, I hope it will enrage you.
Okay, but Lindsey, I want you to go over all that, but in the time we've got, I'm going to let you take us out to break here. So I'm turning my mic off, and you know, sitting back, 'cause it's hard for me not to jump in because my brain burns with points I want to make. Get into the religious angle and what their devil Messiah is, because that's the point you didn't get to yesterday.
Yes, there is a. All right, let me try to find the word here right quick. Okay, the elite have a think tank. And back about 5 or 6 months ago, I was given the 5 agendas of the elite for the year 2012. And I was so startled until I didn't do a single radio talk show for over 2 months. I couldn't. I was scared to death of what I had. And one of them was the devil's Messiah. Now, you've heard me speak of this before, because when Mr. Fromm and I were on the phone together back 2 or 3 years ago, he used the expression one day, devil's Messiah, and I couldn't quite understand what he was saying, and I didn't understand it fully until now, and you'll see it during 2012. Folks, please, 2012 will be the most eventful year in 2,000 years, and one of them is because of the Devil's Messiah program. And Mr. Fromm used that expression, and I said, Ken, what are you talking about? And he went on to explain, it is not a part of the book of Revelation. It has nothing to do with the Antichrist. Rather, it is the program whereby they had to demoralize America by removing the God that made America great from our society before they could bring in the New World Order. They have amazingly succeeded through our schools, through our churches, 501c3 for the church, for the schools. They've put in evolution, so that people would think they were evolutionized animals and act like them. They've brought in the drug craze. They've gotten us in war after war. They've demoralized our nation and brought us to the point where they could bring in that the immoral program, which is Devil's Messiah. And this coming year, 2012, they have an agenda that is accelerated to the Devil's Messiah program. It is so startling until when I tried to put this into DVD, I really couldn't say it. The words would not even properly describe what these people were doing. We actually had to show it in about 10 to 15 minutes of DVD clips in order to explain to you what the Devil's Messiah program is. And it basically is during 2012, they have certain goals that they're going to bring in. One of them is to bring our nation to the point that we will beg for, plead for, and want the new currency and the new world order. And part of doing it is to so demoralize the nation that we'll have no conscience whatsoever as to what we should do morally. So the Devil's Messiah program is a demoralization program for the year 2012, accelerated during that year. Now, when we were on set doing this new DVD, 2012, the beginning of the end, I asked an individual to be with me who is one of the outstanding financial advisors of America. And right on the set, I didn't know he was going to do this. Right on the set, he said, "Wait a minute, Chaplain." He said, "My son experienced this the other day." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "My son always homeschooled him." He said, we moved out of the city and into the country. We thought that in a smaller town environment, we wouldn't have to put up with what we put up with in the city, so we put him into public school. He said, "My son," he's a teenager, by the way. He said he came home the other day, and he said, "Daddy, I got to tell you what I saw." He said, "We were forced to watch it." He said, "We had no choice. It appeared on the television." He said, "Every classroom in America that has a television showed this." And he said it was the President of the United States of America talking about the very thing that I've heard you talk about. And he went on to tell me what the President of the United States of America was saying, and we've got it on this new DVD recorded so you can see it, what the President of the United States of America said about the demoralization program, the Devil's Messiah agenda, which you will not hear this expression, Devil's Messiah, from any of the news media. It is their personal code words for their program of demoralization of the United States of America. It is even being promoted by the President of the United States of America in the classrooms of our country, and you are going to be faced with a demoralization program for you and your children in 2012 that will bring us to the point that people will no longer have a conscience to turn down the New World Order system. Folks, you must be guarded against it. Now, let me tell you why 2012 is so vitally important to this. And this, again, goes back to the think tank of the elite. And when I was told this 4 or 5 months ago, it startled me so much, I started doing my own Bible study. Why is it that 2012 is so important? No. Now, it's not the Mayan calendar. That is not the only reason. Yes, don't take the Mayan calendar for granted. After all, that was a very advanced culture for their time. And they did develop a calendar. And on, I think it's December the 21st of 2012, they bring this present dispensation to an end and start a brand new one. Now, don't take that for granted, but that is not what it's based on. The elite, and I'm sorry to have to say this, but in many instances, the elite know more about prophetic scriptures than what the average pastor does. And I say that having been a pastor of a church for 12 years myself. The think tank of the elite have come to the conclusion that in 2012 there are going to be some divine manifestations, but whenever I tell you why they came to this conclusion, pastors, I have never heard this in any pulpit in America. I never gave it myself. I never saw it until this was told to me back a few months ago. And when I saw it, I was utterly dumbfounded. Here it is. I'll give it as quickly as I can. And Alex, again, thank you so much for kind of giving me the floor here, because you're right. I have a lot to say. Why 2012 and not the year 2000? There's a very definite reason why. Everybody, I mean, nearly every Christian I know, myself included, when the year 2000 came around, I knew something was going to happen in the divine realm. I'm not talking about the coming of Christ. I'm talking about some events in the divine manifestation realm. But it didn't happen. Nothing took place. And I must admit, I was disappointed because I know that from the Old Testament, that from Adam until Christ was 4,000 years. I mean, there's no question about knowing this. Go to the genealogy to the Old Testament. You'll find it for yourself. We know that from Christ and until the year 2000 was approximately 2,000 years. It might have been give or take a little bit because the Roman calendar's off, but not much. Now, I must go to the Scriptures. Please write this down. This is exactly what the elite know. They've got this down pat. They know it's going to happen. 2 Peter, in the New Testament, in God's holy word, 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8, it says, one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. Please read the context, all of you. Get your Bibles, open them up after the program. Don't you change that dial now. And after the program, open them and look for yourself at the context of 2 Peter 3:8, and you'll find out that it's talking about a relationship between the 6 days of creation in the book of Genesis and what God's timetable is. In 6 days he created the heavens and the earth. The seventh day he rested. We know the seventh day is likened unto the millennium of 1,000 years. Now you take the other 6,000, and what do you have? It brings us up to the year 2000. If a day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as a day in the mind and the type, the way that God thinks, well, what does that place us? It places the year 2000. And this is the reason that many of us thought that something would take place in the year 2000, but it didn't. And I was disappointed. The elite know why something's going to take place in 2012. I ask you the question, for lack of time to give a lengthy explanation. Please get the lengthy explanation on our DVD series 2012, The Beginning of the End. And why is it happening in 2012? There's a reason why. At what age did the ministry of Jesus Christ begin? It did not begin at his birth. His birth was very insignificant. It was in a manger, in a stable, and nobody came to it except the shepherds. Now, the wise men didn't come until approximately 2 years later. Read your Bible, folks. I know at Christmas time they've got the wise men and shepherds all out on the church lawn in a scene, but it's not true. Look at your Bible. You'll find out that the wise men came about 2 years later to a house to see a young child, and the only person that came to his birth was the shepherds. And when they came, nothing. It would not broadcast all over the countryside. Even the Alex Jones show would have had it on. It had one back in those days. It was so insignificant. But when did the ministry of Jesus Christ begin? Please go to Hebrew tradition. It's called Bar Mitzvah. It's approximately 12 years of age.
And again, the globalists are completely obsessed with numerology, the occult, everything, and they've claimed 2012 is from the Mayans so that they can ignore the Bible, but they have other reasons, and it's true. The globalists are obsessed with the occult and the Bible, and this is what you were told by this individual. We'll finish this up in a short segment straight ahead. Stay with us. Going back real quick, Lindsey, we're almost out of time here, and I appreciate you coming on. We'll have to check in with you in the near future again. 5-6 months pass, and it's just like in the twinkling of an eye. I'm like, wow, we got to get Lindsey Williams on. Yes, I mean, for those that study the Bible, things are repeated over and over again. What happens in Ezekiel then manifests in another way. I know it's very complex, but theologians understand it, and it certainly does manifest itself. So finishing up with the timetable of why the elite from reading the Bible believe 2012 is such a big year.
2012 is the most eventful year in 2,000 years because of when Jesus Christ began his ministry, the prophets of the Scriptures would have given anything to live in 2012. This is the most exciting year you'll ever live in. You remember at 12 years of age that Christ was taken by his parents to the temple. And in modern-day Hebrew tradition would have been called Bar Mitzvah. And when they went to get him, and take him home, I want to read you his words. How is it that you sought me? Wist ye not that I must be about my Father's business? At what year did Jesus Christ begin his earthly ministry? You have to hear the whole background to this. He began it at 12 years of age. 2000, nothing happened. Why is something catastrophic, the most unusual you've ever seen, going to take place?
Sure, you're saying at the end of his 12th year, about to become 13, that's why it's at the end of 2012 they think all this stuff is going to happen, because it's 6,000 years from Genesis with 12 years added on the end. That's basically what this former oil company CEO told you?
2012, there will be divine manifestations, is what they're saying. I did not say divine intervention. You remember that when Daniel was thrown in the lion's den, the book of Daniel, God did not save him from the lion's den. Instead, he went to the lion's den with him. God's not going to come back and save you from the New World Order. God's going to give you enough sense and understanding to know what to do so that you can live a normal life through what the New World Order is going to give you. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the three Hebrew children, God did not keep them from going to the fire furnace. He went in the fire furnace with them. And
what about the 7 fat years and the 7 lean, too?
Yes, and the king went down into the fiery furnace, and he said, wait a minute, how many did I throw in there? And the soldier said, 3. And he said, I'll see 4 down there. And the 4th is likened unto the Son of God. You are going to see, Alex, I guarantee you that you will have me on your program at least once a month interpreting what's happening in 2012. We're going to see some of the most unusual divine manifestations. You're going to see unusual Devil's Messiah programs. You're going to see unusual things about the financial world take place in 2012. It's going to fulfill so much of the scriptures, you will be amazed. You do not have to suffer through this time.
Amazing. Lindsey Williams, thank you so much. We'll talk to you very soon.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
Lindsey, over a year ago, said you watch the Middle East is going to be engulfed in flame and fake revolution, but then watch China. Now China president 2 days ago said we're preparing for war with the U.S. They've never talked like that since the 60s. Nixon went in the 70s, that stopped. The Russians are threatening stuff, openly attacking the U.S. government. Folks, it's on. Lindsey Williams has incredible intel on Iran and what's really happening there. We've only got about 3 or 4 minutes for the break. Give us a preface of what's coming up and the new intel you've learned from your source, because it fits in perfectly with the full spectrum analysis we've got. Lindsey Williams, thanks for coming on.
Of all the times that I've ever had the privilege, Alex, of being on your show, I have never felt such an urgency and an honor as today, because what the elite have told me within the past 5 months since I had the privilege of being on your show last is going to be so startling that you're going to say Lindsey Williams is crazy. You don't change that dial today. I know a number of years ago when Mr. Fromm called me on the phone and said, Chaplain, would you like the world to think you're a prophet? And he told me that the price of crude oil was going from $147 a barrel to $50 a barrel. And you thought I was crazy. I got laughed at on radio shows. Well, if you think that was prophetic or crazy, you've heard nothing compared to what you're going to hear today, because I want to give you exactly what they have told me. And it's not necessarily that there has not been a crash yet. It's why they have not let the crash take place yet. It's not necessarily that we have not had war with Iran yet, even though the drums have been beating for a long time, but it's why they have told me that they haven't had war with Iran yet, and when they do expect to have it, which I've been given within the past week's time. All of this I plan to give today on your show, Alex, and I do not give it to glorify Lindsey Williams. I give all of the credit to God. He allowed me by his providence years ago to rub shoulders with these people, keep in touch with them over the past 35 years, and now they are in their 70s and 80s. And folks, please, old men talk. When they know they're facing eternity, They know that I was probably the only chaplain of my kind that they ever knew. They're telling me things today because of their conscience. And as a result, I'm going to pass it on to you so I can save your dinner table, so that you can say that you heard it on the Alex Jones Show and on Genesis Network. And, Alex, it's a privilege to be with you today to tell you every single agenda of the elitists through the year 2012, because 2012 is, without a doubt, according to what I'm hearing from these people, going to be 2012 will be the most startling, the most unusual, the most eventful year in 2,000 years. And I say that unequivocally, as positively as I can, and you will hear all of their agendas today on the Alex Jones Show.
Amazing. Let's go through it then. Let's get to Iran first. Let's get the data dump if we can, Lindsey, and then go through more of it in detail. So towards the end of the next hour, we can take calls. I've got some other breaking news that just came in after the break. It is incredible. It is so wild with what we just witnessed here in the office. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Lindsey Williams, our guest. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here is the breaking news. And we're trying to get a tally of all the different news services that did it, but we're in there recording and taping C-SPAN, and C-SPAN just says, we're cutting the feed, go to the internet. And then we went to the internet on C-SPAN 2, and they were not showing the Corzine testimony and the hard questions. So right there shows you this level of control. And I've seen C-SPAN before when government drug dealing is brought up. It'll go and cut out. So we're going to get a blurb out on that. Just absolutely incredible that all of this is unfolding right now. Going back to Lindsey Williams. Lindsey, give us a synopsis of what your source told you, this former oil company executive, the same one that told you last year all this stuff would happen when the Arab Spring. It did happen, first place we ever heard it. What's going on with Iran specifically? Let's start getting into it.
Please, everyone out there in the listening audience, will you get a pencil and piece of paper and write these things down? I want you to put them beside your calendar. And as you see them take place, one after the other, between now and the end of 2012, I want you to remember back on this program, the 8th day of December, here on the Alex Jones Show, and I want you to check them off each time you see one happen. You will not find this information in any newsletter anywhere in the country. You will not find it on a single website. Some of the things I'm going to say today will completely be the opposite, and in a 180-degree difference than what you're seeing on 99% of all the newsletters. I am sticking my neck out today further than I have ever stuck it out in my life. These people have never been wrong in the 35 years that they've given me information. Before Mr. Fromm died, he had never told me anything that it did not happen exactly like he said it. And now the one source that I have left who is still alive, retired, I will say in 70s or 80s, old men talk, and the things that they have told me will save your dinner table. They're so startling. And I'll begin exactly where Alex has requested that I begin, even though I had decided before we began the show today, I had decided to give you all 5 of the elites.
Okay, we'll start. I mean, sure, start wherever you want, Lindsey. Just go.
Well, okay, let's start first of all with Iran, because this is the most startling. First of all, let me say that about 5 months ago, my elitist friend gave me some things that startled me so much it scared the daylights out of me. And, Alex, you wondered why I had not been anywhere. Nobody had heard me anywhere for over 2 months because I did not do a single radio show abroad or in America anywhere for too much time. I was so scared. I finally decided I have a moral obligation to give it out, and I did. And there are 5 agendas of the elite. Then, within the past 1 week, now, folks, please, those 5 agendas were given to me 5 or 6 months ago. They told me everything they were going to do in 2012. Within the past 1 week, I received a communique, an email from my elitist friend, the one that is still left, and he told me about Iran. And I'm going to have to admit to you, I shivered. I was scared. More so than I was when they gave me the 5 agendas back earlier. I'm going to give it to you right now.
Oh, hold on, Lindsey. We got to go to break. Okay, and I want the full audience to hear all of this. So we're going to come back. again, get into this information, and then I want you to go over it in the order you want. What I caught last Friday or whatever, when you were on Dr. Stan Monteith, was the Iran situation. And so I don't know all this yet, so I want to hear it all. Okay, this is a short 5-minute segment. I'm going to really attempt to give Lindsey the floor here when we come back from break, but some stations don't carry this. Lindsey, let's get into all of it after the break, but continuing with what you were alluding to, this is a short 5-minute segment. You were bringing up the fact that this flies 180 degrees from what most people are saying or being told. Can you elaborate on that? And you said that your other source, Mr. X, who, of course, is known to myself and Dr. Monteith, I can confirm it, that you're basically implying he's now spilling his guts through conscience. So you were wondering why they were giving you this info over the years. Now, do they seem concerned?
First of all, let me apologize to all of the newsletter writers whom this may completely disagree with. And the only reason it'll disagree with them is because it came directly from behind closed doors from the Mr. X, who still gives me information. So I'm not doing this in order to cause you problems, nor the Internet sites that may necessarily disagree with this. But you keep in mind that it was 35 years ago when I literally lived with the elite of the world for 3 years' time. And these men now in their 70s and 80s. And before Mr. Fromm died, he basically said to me, he said, Chaplain, I'm too old to care. Just go ahead and tell the world everything. Well, my present elitist friend is doing the identical same thing. He tells me things that he would not have said 5 years ago. He positively would never have divulged this 10 years ago. He's saying it now because, well, let's admit it, Alex. I'm 75 years of age. I've been a minister of the gospel for over 55 years. When you get to be my age, when you get to be their age, you say things that you would never say before because you know good and well that you're about to face eternity. You're going to face your Maker. And it becomes very real that you don't want to stand there with any problems when you get ready to cross that river. And as a result, these people are saying some things about what is going to take place in the next year. They're talking more about the Devil's Messiah program, and this is what is utterly amazing to me, how that they're talking about what they're going to do more and more about this. And they're also divulging what's going to happen in Iran and why the financial crash has not taken place yet. There is a reason why. It should have taken place during the last year of the administration of George W. Bush, but it did not. Why haven't they allowed the euro to already crash? There is a reason why they haven't done it. And it's not necessarily the fact that they haven't allowed the crash or the financial burst to take place. That's not the issue. The important issue is why they're not letting it take place yet. And this is what the newsletter writers haven't picked up on, because unless you know the elite and they're willing to divulge some things to you, you'd never know the reason why that the crash is not going to take place this month. It's not going to take place next month. It's not going to take place until well up into 2012. And it's not necessarily that they're going to hold it off until then. It's the reason why they're holding it off until then. The same thing with Iran. Why is it? Okay, Iran is sitting there. Everybody is angry. America's warships are sitting there right off of
Well, Lindsey, I hate to interrupt because I'm actually going to shut up today and try to give you the floor. Most stations, XM and others, do carry this little 5-minute segment. Years ago, I decided to do it in case some stations wanted to carry more radio show instead of news, so-called news. But our full audience, WWCR is picking it up, Internet's picking it up, TV's picking it up, but some AM and FMs don't. So I want to come back and just have you get right into the 5 points, right into Iran, in whatever order you want to get to it, because I know this is real. I know this is a big three former oil company executive that does have these tie-ins. So we're going to go to break, come back, and you get into it how you want to, and then let's just run through it for the next hour. But I'd like to get the 5 points out, and then the Iran situation, and then get into them in more detail with you straight ahead. And then also, I haven't even asked you if you've had a chance yet to make an audio or video CD breaking this down, but I imagine you probably have. And so we'll also tell people about that as well after you go over the points. Lindsey Williams is our guest. I'm Alex Jones. Our site's Infowars.com. You can find out about him at prophecyclub.com. Stay with us. All right, Pastor Lindsey Williams is our guest. And I knew who Ken Fromm was. I knew that other talk show host, great patriot, and author, had interviewed this gentleman off record and confirmed what he was telling Mr. Williams. And, of course, that individual was Dr. Stan Monteith, talking to Ken Fromm. I know the name of the other former Big Three oil company CEO, and I know that Monteith separately confirmed it. I could call the person up and confirm it, but I don't need to. I know Monteith has done it. Again, this is important information we're getting from Lindsey Williams right now. Try to make sense of what's happening out there. So you were given 5 things that took you months to decide what to do with. And lately, you were given the Iran situation. Give us a boil down and then go through it. Lindsey Williams, you've got the floor. Go ahead.
2012 will be the most eventful year in 2,000 years. Don't take that for granted. That you're going to see it happen. Alex, you probably will have me on your show at least once a month during the year 2012 just to interpret what these elite have already told me that they had planned to do. I'm going to begin with the most controversial first. I had planned on using those 5 items of agenda, but I'm going to do the opposite. I want to begin where you suggested I begin, with Iran. This is more on anyone else's mind right now than any other one thing. So quickly, 3 years ago, Dr. Stan Monteith called me on the phone one day. Our Army, our Navy, our Air Force, everybody was sitting over there in the Persian Gulf all ready for an invasion of Iran. I was even saying, it looks like we're going to have an invasion, a war with Iran. Dr. Stan Monteith called me and said, Chaplain, would you please call your elitist friend and ask him if there's going to be a war with Iran? Folks, I'm saying this to prove to you that they start war, they end war. Nothing ever happens except that they have already planned it behind closed doors, and you'll see this because you've watched it unfold before your eyes. I called Mr. Fromm, who was alive at that time, and I said, Ken, is there going to be a war with Iran? I'll never forget his response. He actually chuckled over the telephone, and he said, Chaplain, no, there is not going to be any war with Iran for at least 2.5 years from now. And he said, that is nothing but saber rattling over there.
And you said that at the time. You said that at the time.
It's in your archives, Alex. I came on your show, and I said it. And, folks, you have lived it. For 3 years, there has not been war with Iran exactly as Mr. Ken Fromm said it. Now, there is going to be war with Iran. Are you ready? Here it is. I was given it less than 7 days ago. I did not ask for this. This time, I did not call my elitist friend who's still alive and say, what about Iran? I did not do this. Instead, he sent me, of his own will, an email, and you won't find it because it's not out there any place that you can pick it up. But he sent it to me, and he told me exactly what's going to happen. Now, they are going to have war with Iran. Please, put this down. It is going to happen. It's going to be horrifying. I'll tell you what his opinion is as we go along through it. It is not going to happen this month, nor next month, nor probably the next month. It is going to happen, and they have an approximate time date for it. The reason why they're going to let it happen, well, first of all, let me tell you what they want. Now, keep in mind the elite are not God. They just think they are. And they don't always get their way. But if they get their way, here's what's going to happen. Israel will not fire the first shot. No, I know. Again, use letter writers, please forgive me. All I can do is just tell you what the elite tell me. Israel will not fire the first shot if the elite have their way. America will not fire the first shot if the elite have their way. Instead, Iran is going to be intimidated. They're going to be harassed. They are going to have every kind of thing imaginable imposed on them. And they want Iran to make the first fire. They want it to be the shot heard around the world and to come from Iran itself. And they want it to take place for a very definite reason. And, Alex, you put it on your website. I picked it up also, but I got it off of your website. Folks, please listen to Alex Jones every day. He's telling you things you're not getting anyplace else. The Genesis Network, they're giving out information you won't get any other place. You've got to listen to it. So, Alex, I got on your website, and I picked this up. You had it there. I'm going to repeat it because this goes along with what my elitist friend told me, and here it is. The subscriber-only report, the DEBCA file, a Israeli intelligence outfit, which has proven to be accurate in the past, revealed recently at the end of the NATO operations in Libya, the President Barack Obama stated to America's senior allies, Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Saudi Arabia, and he stated what? With their notice of his plan to attack Iran no later, please, put these dates down. Put them beside your calendar. Okay, with attack Iran no later than September or October of 2012, unless Tehran halts its nuclear weaponization program. Folks, you know they aren't going to halt it. He knows they're not going to halt it. He's doing this intentionally for a reason. Now, my elitist friend did not point me to the Debka files. You had it on your website, Alex. I am saying what my elitist friend told me was there's not going to be a war with Iran this month, next month. I know America's warships are over there beside Syria. Russia has already moved in their armada of warships over there by Syria. You surely must know that there are 30 Yakup missiles that Russia has moved into Syria. You are aware of this. I hope that you understand what this missile is. You've got to go on the website and look at what it does. It travels 3 times the speed of sound. There is no way that America's warships that are near Syria are going to be able to stop it before they get wiped out. And there are 30 of them already. They've been moved in there when the Russians went in with their ships just recently. Every bit of this is in preparation for what they know is going to be inevitable. It will not take place this month nor next month. The elite want it to take place later on up into 2012. It is all a part of their program, and I'll give you now the personal opinion of my elitist friend. He went on to say what they want. They do not want America to have the first strike. They don't want Israel to have the first strike. They want Iran to have it because they're going to be so intimidated. But then he said, Lindsey, I believe this will be, and these are his words. He didn't hear this behind closed doors. He believes this personally himself. He said, Lindsey, I believe this is going to be the beginning of World War III. That was his personal opinion, off the cuff from what he heard behind closed doors.
Well, the Rand Corporation said 2 years ago they want something bigger than a regional war to distract the global implosion and the banking takeover. They need that, and it actually then leaked out after Debka and others reported it that, you know, there may be a strike, but the Pentagon thinks it's a year until they get a nuke or whatever. But then Netanyahu wants it earlier because of political elections and things. But certainly they've got special forces and others blowing stuff up, killing people all over Iran. That's now confirmed. They've got spy planes, I've been told, not just surveilling, but dropping bombs. Bombs are being dropped. There's satellite photos of giant craters at these sites, the missile site and others. So they are trying to actually, they tried to kill Ahmadinejad, who was scheduled to be there last week when that happened, or a week and a half ago, at that missile base. That's been confirmed now. He'll drive over a bridge, and the bridge blows up behind him or right in front of him. They're moving his schedule around to stop it. But the point is, they're trying to get him to attack and the mullahs to attack because, yes, they want to be able to say that. But they could, did your elitist source say anything about them staging something to blame it on Iran and say Iran did something first? Because Iran's certainly getting mad. They're now saying, okay, we'll block the Strait of Hormuz.
What was indicated to me is that they're going to intimidate, they're going to harass, they'll do anything in their power in order to get Iran so angry that they will shoot the first shot. Now, keep in mind that 40% of the world's oil supply on any day travels through the Strait of Hormuz. And the moment that there is a conflict with Iran, between Iran and anybody else, whether it be Syria or America or Israel or whatever it may be, the Strait of Hormuz is cut off. Now, let me go back a moment and clarify something. I have not been on your show for 5 months, Alex, so there are a number of things I haven't had an opportunity to say. The last time I appeared on your show on June the 22nd of 2011, I made the statement that crude oil prices were going to $150 to $200 a barrel. It has not happened yet. I went back to my elitist friend the latter part of June, since I have last been on your show. I think it was maybe the 1st of July. And I called him my name, and I said, you're not helping my credibility very much. I said, you told me that the price of crude oil was going from $150 to $200 a barrel. And he said, Chaplain, that's exactly right. I said, well, it hasn't. What's the matter? He said, no, and I'm sorry to have to tell you it's not going to during the summer and up into the fall. I said, well, do you know what that's doing to my credibility? He said, I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
Well, he was right, and so was Fromm before. I have to be careful not to say his name, because it's in my mind. I mean, they said when it was $60, it'd go to $150. Everybody laughed. It did do that in the exact time frame. Then you said now it's going to 40. It went below 40. Everybody laughed at you till it happened. So that's why I'm saying about 95% of what they've told you has been accurate, but they do change plans. I mean, if we expose this Iran plan enough, Iran may just keep taking it, and it may not happen.
Well, and the thing is, the reason why they didn't do this. And so I asked him, I said, well, why didn't you take the price of crude oil before the summer's over? That was the beginning of the summer. I said, why aren't you going to take the price to $150 a barrel like you told me it was going to? Alex, here is something that will startle you, and it could only come from the elite. It'll even startle you, I think. I found out that the reason they didn't let it keep going up is because too many Americans were waking up. Now, I know this sounds strange, but you remember when I lived with the elite, I came to the conclusion that there's only one thing on the face of this earth that they fear. They fear the masses waking up. There's only a few of them. There's a whole bunch of us. And they do not...
Stay there. This is fascinating. You know why? Because I trust but verify. I have from Jim Tucker, Estlin, and one other source that do have Bilderberg sources. Tucker's got the hardcore ones, actual Bilderberg, not just an assistant. That's one of the main things they talked about. Back whenever they ran it up to 160, then they said, we're going to run it back down to 40 or so. They actually said 60 in the meeting because it's making people too angry and they're waking up. They discuss Ron Paul in these meetings. They discuss the Patriot movement. So, they are watching it. See, they're worried about the American people because we've got guns, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got another major signpost coming in. We're trying to confirm it right now. I hope it's not true. I hoped it wasn't true the ATF shipped the guns into Mexico to blame the Second Amendment. They're now internal memorandums have been made public. They did. It was all set up. I wish Corzine wouldn't have stolen the $3 billion, but now he just says doesn't know where it is, and that's the end of it. I wish that they hadn't passed the NDAA saying they can arrest citizens for no reason and put you in a black hole and use the Army. I wish that the Stars and Stripes magazine didn't say that 3 years ago. But they are getting ready for it. Oath Keepers has the report. It's going up on Infowars.com right now. Oath Keepers receives tip of National Guard unit stand down, refusing to answer questionnaire. And we know these have been asked in the past, asking if they would use lethal force against the American people. They reportedly dropped their arms before taking part in the exercise, which I've been at drills where they practice taking on the American people, regular Army and Marines, and ROTC. I've never seen guard. Well, I saw guard and gun confiscation drill in Iowa. That's right. But they reportedly dropped their firearms and walked off and said, we're not taking the questionnaire and we're not taking part in this exercise. And Stuart Rhodes is totally confirming it right now, but it looks like it's coming from a good source. So we're going to this government is so criminal. Lindsey, it's a short segment going right back to you. Okay, when we went up to the break, you were bringing up the point of the fact that they're concerned about the American people if they raise the gasoline prices too much. And I've gotten that from Bilderberg as well previously. Please continue.
For those of you who have just tuned in to the Alex Jones Show and Genesis, may I say that a number of years ago, the reason I know this material is because I was invited to be the chaplain of the elite of the world for a 3-year period. I kept in touch with some of those people who are now in their 70s and 80s, and they have personally given me this information. Is the only way I have any access to it. And Alex, you're exactly right. They even talk about you, by the way, in those meetings, Alex. I could tell you some things. I will off the air someday. But they took the price of gasoline up. They saw that to fill up an SUV, it cost $100. Too many people were waking up, and it kind of hurt my credibility a little bit. When he told me, he said, well, Chaplain, I'm sorry, but you'll just have to take it. Now, I'll tell you this, though. It is going to go up to $150 to $200 a barrel, and when it does, it is going to take place literally overnight. They will do it at a point that will be most unexpected. Why, please, why do they not want war with Iran until September, October of 2012? There's a reason why. Our President Barack Hussein Obama, Mr. Obama is in trouble. He's their man. He's doing everything that they want done, even though, earlier they said McCain was their man, but they've gotten Obama in line with everything they wanted to do with him. And now he's in trouble. The economy is in trouble. The unemployment rate is horrifying. People are mad as can be. They must find a way to get him back in office. Now, do you realize that the election is in November of 2012? September or October, how close are you to it? You undoubtedly know from history, if you're a history student, no sitting president has ever lost an election in a time of a declared war or an emergency.
October surprise.
That's exactly what they want, and they're doing it intentionally.
Well, that makes sense. It's always hiding in plain view. They want an October surprise for Obama, who will look tough, and the neocons have said, strike Iran, you'll be reelected. He strikes 2 months before. Then we go into the Great Depression. It's the Iranians' fault.
Yes, I'm going to stick my neck way, way out. We will not have war with Iran this month or next month, even though our warships are all the way over there. Russia is mad as can be. You've got a problem because of Syria. It is not going to happen if they have their way until later up into 2012. Folks, please, 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 I beg you, don't let your guard down. Don't stop making preparation. It is going to happen. Just because I've said it's not going to happen this month or next, or the elite don't want it this month or next, you have a window of opportunity right now to get that storage food and water in your house, to make your preparations and do what you're going to do. You have the greatest opportunity imaginable while the dollar is still high before it crashes, and it is going to crash. Their time schedule is still the end of 2012 for the demise of the American dollar, and it'll all take place around this whole situation. We've just got two statements. Number one, Iran war is not going to take place right now if the elite have their way. It is going to take place next year. It will happen. They are ready. For 3 years, I've been telling you it would not happen because Mr. Fromm said that before he died. It's changed now. They're ready to bring it on. Secondly, the crash, the financial crash, both of the euro and the American dollar, is not going to take place this month, nor next month, nor the next month. And when we come back to the next sector, I'll tell you why.
Okay, you're right. It is the next sector. It is the next sector in the info war. Another bombing run in the info war. Straight ahead with Lindsey Williams. I'm Alex Jones, GCNlive.com. Now remember, the fact that we're exposing all of this and the fact that we're discussing this does have the ability to change the future to a certain extent. The globalists are brazen. They are arrogant. They are hubris-filled. And unfortunately, more and more, they just go ahead and do what they were planning to do, even if it isn't going to work. But one thing is history's shown is that elites get filled with arrogance and megalomania, type of hyper-confidence. Criminals of all types do this and just go crazy. An orgy of corruption. And that's happening right now. I mean, look at all this crazy stuff that's going on. The nukes being moved around, the armies, the threats, because the veneer is peeling away. And they are manning the FEMA camps right now. Now, does that mean they're going to pull the trigger? Absolutely. That's up to us. And I was just talking to Stuart Rhodes and doing some more research. They're trying to confirm this. You know, we know there was some National Guard stand-downs at Katrina for gun confiscation. We even know the units now. Years later, we found out. They reportedly, with this new group, they were going to do questionnaires and then do a drill. They arrested the first guy to say no. I mean, if this is true, it just shows how, and I've talked to the military, it's on record they've been training to fight the American people. Stars and Stripes 3 years ago. Yes, we're training to pull triggers on Americans. But it's still incredible. Going to Lindsey Williams here in just a moment. Now, Lindsey, you haven't raised this, and I didn't check with you when I called you, but I know that you put all this stuff always in an even more focused way on DVDs and audio CDs, and things like that. So I wanted to, before you get into the other 5 points now, as you covered the Iran situation, I wanted to ask you, have you had a chance since you got this 7 days ago to put out an audio CD through the Prophecy Club that you work with, or is that coming out?
5 or 6 months ago, when I was given the 5 agendas of the elite through the year 2012.
That's right. Now you have the Iran stuff. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and a little of that is in there, but not everything that was told me within the past 7 days. And I was so startled that I said, there's no way I'm going to say this before I record it first, because if I do, people will say that I said it after it happened. So we produced a 3-hour, professionally done, in-studio DVD entitled 2012, The Beginning of the End. And, Alex, I really believe that the reason I named it The Beginning of the End, because I believe that 2012 is going to be the beginning of the end of the New World Order. And when you see what the elite think is going to happen in the way of divine things taking place in the year 2012, most of the elite today, the inner core of the elite, they're better Bible scholars than some preachers are. And I say that being a pastor of a church for 12 years. It's amazing how much they know through their think tanks. And they know that there are going to be some very unusual divine events that are going to take place in 2012, along with what they're going to do with their Devil's Messiah program.
All right, I want to get into all this. People go to prophecyclub.com and find the Lindsey Williams sector. It's a huge area there. And they can also, is there a number they can call to get that report?
They can get our toll-free number, 888-799-6111. We have operators standing by all day, all night, 24 hours a day, 888-799-6111, or on the web, www.prophecyclub.com.
All right, now let's continue because we've only got... Thank you. We've only got 20 minutes left. Okay, you got into the new Iran stuff and the other stuff he was telling you that ties into the other 5 points. You were getting into the next point about when the accelerated collapse. It's kind of like we've been going downhill for a while gradually, but there's some bigger drop-off points. Give us what your former Big Three oil company CEO, of course, known to me, folks, but we're not going to say his name here, obviously, what he told you.
Well, quickly, let me finish up with Iran. This is so important. I'm so startled over what I heard a week ago. Russia, for the first time since the Cold War, is flexing its muscles. This is the first time that it has ever sent its warships, and they've sent them right over there by Syria. They cannot move them. They cannot take them back home. Russia is in a Russian roulette standoff. If they do, they've lost their credibility totally. Mr. Putin is just up for election. They cannot move them. America, our president, he's in so much trouble, he can't pull our warships out. This is a standoff that is horrifying right around Syria. China has just made a statement that they will come to the aid of Iran if any problems take place. Iran has said we will come to the aid of Syria if any NATO forces go in. Folks, you don't have the slightest idea. I almost stay awake at night. I had some dreams about this last night, scared the daylights out of me. They were just because I'm so fearful, knowing what's taking place over there.
No, everybody's having, anybody with discernment's having the dreams right now, Lindsey. You notice in the last 3 years, all the saber rattling, you didn't hear China and Russia weighing in. Now they're deploying troops. They're moving ships in. They're deploying their nukes. They're threatening Hillary Clinton. I mean, they know this is entering the danger zone.
Can you imagine Walmart or Target without a single product on its shelves marked made in China? Folks, you are going to see it. Mr. Fromm told me this before he ever passed away. He said, watch China, and he told me some of the things that were going to happen.
Yeah, he said, first the Middle East is going to be in turmoil and revolution staged, but that's a diversion. Watch China. But
watch China.
Let's continue here. Let's continue here, though, with the Iran situation and then the other 5 points. Let's go through them.
Okay, the 5 points. First of all, number one, please jot this down on your paper. The elite have intentionally not allowed the European Union euro to crash. The American dollar should have long since have gone with a $15 trillion indebtedness, and the Federal Reserve buying back our T-bills. Fromm said before he died, he said the day that the Federal Reserve buys back its T-bills, he said it's all over for the American dollar. Now I'm finding out from my elitist friends that they are intentionally holding off the crash. It will not take place this month. It will not take place next month. It will not take place for a number of months. Folks, don't let your guard down. And why they are not letting it happen, here it is. The elite wish to create massive, like you have never seen before, massive debt before they allow the crash to take place, so that when they do let it take place, they can step in and say, Greece, we own all of your paper. America, through the Federal Reserve, we hold your debt. They can step into every city, every county, every state in the United States of America. They'll say, California, after all, we bailed you out. We hold your paper. You don't have a chance. You have to accept our new world order and our new currency, never mind your Constitution. Every bit of this, folks, is being done. You must not fall into the debt trap. They are intentionally holding off on the crash until later on up into 2012. Mark my words, I know. Most newsletter writers have been saying it's going to take place next week, going to happen tomorrow, going to happen on 11/11, going to happen on 12/12. None of them, it didn't happen the way any of them said. The elite said to me, it's going to create massive debt like the world has never seen, so that the world will be in such a condition they can step in and say, we have the answer to it all.
Yeah, and it's a world government. They've already announced that as a solution. They want to milk and suck each country with a new bailout, always promising to fix it first. They've got a lot of squeezing and milking to do first.
So I asked one of my financial friends here just the other day, I said, who in their right mind would possibly buy a single piece of Greek paper over in Europe? I said, there's no way they'll ever get paid back. He said, Chaplain, you don't understand. And I'll admit to you, but some of the things that these people have told me, I don't understand. He said, Chaplain, you don't understand. He said, the elite are the ones that are buying the Greek paper. I said, but why? They'll never get paid back. He said, Chaplain, come on. He said, get with it. He said, no, they won't get paid back. He said, that's what we want. I said, what are you talking about? He said, we can step in to Greek, France, Italy. I don't care what those countries are over there. Every one of them.
They're buying it with devalued fiat dollars anyways and loan guarantees. So they buy it with fiat Ponzi. They took the country down by setting them up in the fiat Ponzi. And then they get all the real stuff for nothing.
That's exactly right, Alex. You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what he said. He said, Chaplain, whenever we allow the euro to crash, oh, by the way, whenever you see the euro crash, you've got a maximum of 3 weeks. And if you don't get out a paper of every kind, your 401k, your IRA, your Federal Reserve note, any paper that you're in, you've got to get out of it within 3 weeks, or you've lost it after you see the euro crash. I'm just giving you a time frame that you work.
Now, he told you 3 weeks, but once everybody starts rushing, they're going to try to shut it down even quicker than that.
They want to buy every bit of the debt of all of these countries over there. They know they'll never get paid back. Then they can step in when they finally allow the crash to take place, and they can say, you don't have a chance. You've got to accept our new world order. You don't have your own currency. We have a new currency backed by gold and silver. Oh, please, folks, don't sell your gold and silver. Gold's going to $3,000 plus an ounce, and that's.
Well, let's go through everything he told you then. Go through it specifically. Go ahead.
Massive debt before they allow the crash. Take advantage of the window of opportunity to make all your preparations. Secondly, please listen to this one as carefully as you can. By the end of 2012, all private fortunes will be lost that are secured with paper. They already have it planned. Now, keep in mind, during the 1929 and 1933 depressions, there were people who made great fortunes. They knew it was coming. They knew it was going to happen. Lehman Brothers is not going, I'm sorry, Goldman Sachs is not going to lose one single penny in this depression. They know what to do.
They're all rushing into farmland, commodities, and gun companies, and food.
Yeah, by the end of 2012, all private fortunes will be lost that are secured with paper. Please, please, please hear this statement. IRAs, 401ks, mutual funds, if it is, Mr. Fromm said 3 years ago, Chaplain, if it's written on a piece of paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. You must immediately, folks, secure your assets. You've got to get it into tax.
Did he say anything about MF Global?
No, he did not. I haven't gotten on that subject. I wish I had, but I did not. But, yeah, they're going to see, oh, by the way, there are many, many, many MF Globals working out there in the shadows that have not taken place yet. You haven't seen anything. They're going to bring about the loss of, please let me say it again, by the end of 2012, all private fortunes will be lost that are not secured by paper. And you've got to get into, okay, now the next one. Welfare recipients. Oh, they covered so many things with me about 5 or 6 months ago. It scared the daylights out of me. Welfare recipients, food stamps, people who are getting them, those who are on Social Security. You will not, are you listening, folks? You will not have your checks cut off. You will continue to get them. You'll get them right on through 2012 and probably up through 2013, and you will continue to get them, and I'm going to give you the date when you'll quit getting them. They know that the day that the food stamp recipients, the foods and the welfare recipients, and the Social Security people are cut off, that our cities will burn. They want the New World Order brought in their way, and they will continue to give you your checks until the day that the American government defaults on its national debt. And I'm saying it. I said it before. I gave it on Alex Jones' show, I think last time I was here. The national debt will be defaulted on, not necessarily this year nor next. It may take a few years. They want to do everything else first in the way of loss.
They're going to bring everything down before they then do that. But they will. They are freezing colas. So you still get the check. It just doesn't buy as much.
It won't buy as much, and I have had some innovations, which I can't talk about today, maybe after the first of the year, as to some time frame and what will be happening to the American dollar, because they said to me that the American dollar will be dead by the end of 2012. The next one, very quick, because I know we're giving out of time here. If you own a farm and it's paid for, if you own a house, folks, are you beginning to realize why it scared the daylights out of me when I got all this? And are you understanding why you won't find this in any newsletter? You haven't heard anybody talk about this one, I guarantee you. If you own a farm and it's paid for, you own a house and it's paid for, you have a business and you've been wise enough not to get a small business loan, you must immediately go and get enough gold and silver to pay your taxes for 3 to 5 years. If the elite cannot confiscate your property because you can't pay your mortgage, and they will, they'll confiscate that house if there's a mortgage on it, that boat.
And they'll let millions of houses sit empty just because that's what they want to do. They're already doing it. I mean, they want to wreck things. They say they want to wreck things.
Yeah, they want to turn around and rent it back to you. And the Federal Reserve is nothing but the elite. It is not federal.
No, you're right. Just like the Great Depression, that they engineered the whole thing, that was declassified. They're going to want it. You've got to be ready for up to 5 years to pay for everything.
You're going to have to be able to pay those taxes down the line, even though the states and the counties have been bailed out by the Federal Reserve, and they will control them and own them at that point. But if you can't pay your taxes, this will be the next method that they will use to confiscate and get everything that is left. You must go and get enough gold and silver, which you say, wait a minute, the county and the state, they won't accept gold and silver for
you cash it in for whatever the paper currency is?
Cash it in for whatever the currency is that they issue at that time, and you are not going to lose one thing. You pay $1,700 for an ounce of gold right now. It'll be worth 3 and 4. I'm predicting at least 3, because you have to back the world currency with it, and you'll be able to go and pay your taxes, keep your farm. You can live a successful life under the New World Order program if you know what to do right now, and you take the time to do it, Alex.
Knowledge is power. People perish for lack of knowledge. I know I've known this information, and it's been nothing but a boon to myself and the listeners. When gold was $260, we told them now it's $1,700, $1,800. And they can move it up and down, but if they're devaluing currencies worldwide, there's only a matter of time till it goes up. Incredible. Tell us the rest of what they told you on the other side. Lindsey Williams is our guest. Amazing information today. And tonight on the Nightly News, 7 o'clock, you're not going to want to miss that. We've been so jam-packed with news, I haven't gotten to a lot of calls the last few days, but I'm going to tomorrow. And then on Sunday, 4 to 6. But wow, I wish this stuff wasn't true. I wish this wasn't happening. I mean, they're admitting a Bank of the world government run by Goldman Sachs you'll pay your taxes to when they're the ones engaged in all the fraud. And I know Lindsey Williams has these sources. We have some similar ones through our connections that basically we get the same information. But Lindsey knows these guys well, the one that's alive now, and can really, get a lot of stuff out of them. It's disgusting that it's gotten to this point, but this is their plan. And I've seen them do it in third world countries. I've interviewed their economic hitmen like John Perkins. A lot of this stuff's been declassified. I've read State Department training manuals. That's what Tragedy and Hope is. It's almost 1,000 pages, or is it over 1,000 with a bibliography? That was only for government people to read, but the plates got out and it got printed. And the government admits it's there. And so here's an 1,100-page book or whatever. I guess, yeah, some versions of the bibliography. Here it is, and this is what we're doing, so they can understand. Well, wait, the banks run communism and fascism, and again, it's complex, but once you see it, it's like, well, that makes total sense. They get everybody in fake debt and then get them in more fake debt for more fiat garbage, and then they get all the real assets. This is how they operate. It's the power of saying, I control the money. As Lord Rothschild said, Lindsey, other points that he made to you when you talked to him 7 days ago, other things he raised.
Yes, I've only given 3. The elite have a think tank. And I say this with respect for all of my pastor friends. In some instances, the elite know more than most preachers do. Why did things not take place in the year 2000? There's a reason why. Why are things not taking place until the year 2012? Now, there's a reason why, and they have thought this through. And when I found this out, I was so startled. I went to my scriptures. I began to look every way I could, and I found out that the Bible is in perfect agreement with what these people are thinking is going to happen in 2012. There are going to be some divine manifestations. I did not say divine intervention. I said divine manifestations in 2012. I give them all in our new series, 2012, the beginning of the end. Also, one other thing, and I know we've got seconds here, so I'm going to give us one more. One of the agendas of the elite in 2012 is such a simple word, but it is so profound it's almost unbelievable. It's the word fear, F-E-F-E-A-R, fear. There has not been a single terrorist attack since 9/11, yet they've got you scared to death. You go to the airports, and they make you think you're a criminal. You're shaking your shoes as you give them your identification. You go to the courthouse, and you take off everything that's metal from beginning to end. Then they gave you alanine and Planet X, and every bit of it was a method of instilling fear. And so I contacted 2 of my medical friends. I mean, one of them you'd recognize him immediately because he has a nationwide radio show every week on medicine. And I said, what does fear do when it's when the human body is put into presence of fear? And he said, Chaplain, very simple. It shuts off the brain. I said, oh, my gracious. That's exactly what they're doing. Folks, do not allow yourself to fall into the trap of the agenda of the elite. And one of their agendas is to make you scared to death. Quit looking behind bushes. Sleep well at night. Know the issues that you're hearing it on Alex Jones' show from week to week, and then take action and do something about it.
Well, Lindsey, there's one more point you got to make. So can you do 5 minutes overdrive, or do you have to go?
Oh, I'm in no hurry, Alex. I'll stay with you as long as you want.
All right, well, the main transmission ends now. We'll be back tonight, 7 o'clock Central at prisonplanet.tv. But I want to come back and any other loose ends you haven't covered in this little 5-minute giblet. Straight ahead, back in 60 seconds, prisonplanet.tv. All right, it's a little overdrive here, a little addendum with Lindsey Williams, who will obviously have to get back up next week if we can do it to flesh more of this out and take calls. I want to point out there's been another shooting, at least 2 shot hours ago at Virginia Tech, same place where they had shooting before. A lot of suspicious stuff in the last one. We'll see what's happening here. You know, as Blagojevich gets 14 years in prison, when compared to the rest of the Obama mafia, he's nothing, Corzine and others. Just incredible that happened. But I certainly won't cry my milk at night about it. But, Lindsey, there was one other point you were going to get to, and then anything else he told you 7 days ago?
Paper. Can you afford to lose it? Any paper you've got, anything that you've got in the way of assets that's in paper, if you can't afford to lose it, you better get out of it immediately. There is going to be a financial crash, but it'll take place down the line when you least expect it. Same thing with Iran. When you least expect it, you're going to have gasoline at the gas pump, $8, $9, and $10 a gallon, and it'll probably go there overnight when the conflict starts with Iran. They will take the price where they want it to go. Many of you remember that about 9 months ago, I went to them after the Egyptian conflict, and I said to my elitist friend, what in this world are you doing? I said, you told me it wasn't going to be with Iran, but there would be a conflict in the Middle East. And he said, yeah. And I said, what are you doing over here? Why is this happening? And he gave me, and I appeared on your show and told it, Alex, and it startled you. I said everything that they're going to do in the Middle East, and have you noticed that each nation has been taken in the exact order that I gave it right here? You'll find it in the archives of the Alex Jones Show, not because I gave it, but because my elitist friend gave it to me. It, first of all, was there was Egypt, and then it went down to Gaddafi, And then each one of these nations, one after the other, everything has happened exactly as they said. Egypt, Libya, Kuwait, Yemen, and now they're right down to Syria. And next will be Saudi Arabia, even though most people and most newsletter writers don't think there's going to be a crisis there. It will happen. They're getting the Bakken field of North and South Dakota and Montana ready. You must see the largest oil rig that has ever been produced on the face of the earth. You'll see it in our new presentation, 2012, the beginning of the end. It's on Gull Island. They're going down 8 miles. They know that there's the mother lobe of all oil fields there, and it'll be brought in just about the time that the Middle East situation gets so hot that they produce it from America's own oil fields at $150 to $200 a barrel, if you can even get it at the gas pump. And by that time, you'll be begging for gasoline. You'll be begging for the new world currency. You'll be begging for the new world order. Okay, one thing, Alex, that I do need to touch on, though, that I just barely touched on the earlier segment. I was so fascinated when I found out what their think tank has found out. 2012, they know, the elite know good and well, that in 2012 there's going to be some things take place that they have never seen take place on the face of the earth before. And when I was given this, I had to go do some studying on my own, even though for many, many years I have tried to give out the Word of God the best I could. Why didn't things happen in the year 2000? They were supposed to have. I and nearly every other Christian that I know of thought that something was going to happen on the year 2000, and it didn't. Nothing took place. And I must admit to you, I was a little disappointed. I'm not talking about the coming of Jesus Christ. That is not my subject matter here at all. I'm talking about some sort of divine manifestation, intervention, something taking place. Nothing happened in the year 2000. It took the elite to find out why. 2012, now please let me give it to you quickly if I can, from in the book of, in the Old Testament.
I'll tell you what, Lindsey, let's do this. The show's absolutely over. Can you come on at 11:30 Central tomorrow?
Be more than happy to.
Jaron, are we open at 11:30 tomorrow on the show? Okay, we will call you at 11:30 and do 30 minutes on the Devil's Messiah and this information we didn't get to tomorrow, Lindsey. I really appreciate you joining us. That's it for this broadcast. It'll go back into rebroadcast with the FEMA camp and ATF news that's coming up after this break in the retransmission. Lindsey, we'll talk to you tomorrow at 11:30 Central, okay?
Thank you, Alex. Lord bless. Have a good day.
All right, folks. See you tonight, 7 o'clock with key info. If you believe in this information and want to support its viral spread, go to the InfoWars store at InfoWars.com. We've got the new G.I. Joe InfoWars T-shirts. We've got the incredible Pro Pure gravity-fed filters available at InfoWars.com in the store. We've got a new DVD, Scientists Under Attack, the Don't Tread on Me flag. We've got all sorts of different bumper stickers to help spread the rebellion virally. It's all there. Wristbands, citizen rule books in every order. Order online at InfoWars.com today. The water filters, the canteens. It's all there. InfoWars.com.